Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Mr. Squirrel. We're playing a little bit of Honkai Star Rail, and I wanted to do a little bit of an account review. This is kind of post Annie. Run through what I feel are some of the best investment characters I've had throughout, I think, 2 years of playing Star Rail. Um, and this is in. I'm gonna actually go in order. I was kind of thinking about how to do this and thinking about what characters I've used exponentially and what have been some of the overall best investments I've had over the course of these 2 years. And we'll start in order. I think. Actually, you know what? I think from one up. I think it's important to set a baseline and then we'll kind of work from there. Um, I think the most impactful character I've ever gotten was Adventurine. To this day, I think this has probably been. He is my favorite character that they've released in Honkai Star Rail. He just gives so much safety. It is absolutely insane. He is also preservation, as if you follow this channel at all, I am a defensive character. He's about as close to a paladin as you're going to get. Um, this is his stats for me. He's got 4,339 defense, speed's 140. This is a character I've gone heavy into because I actually have him at E2. You're probably thinking, why did you get him at E2? Well, first off, his E1 makes it so that his shield is a little bit more consistent. So after using provides all allies with a whatever wager whose shield is equal to 100% of the one provided by the skill. Last 50. So it makes it so when he uses his ult, he's just constantly shielding. Now, this one is a kind of a unique one. And this is because so there was a character that I really wanted and wanted to make really well. But I actually think getting him at E1 is probably just stop there. You do not need his E2 after just being very honest. But the character I actually got him for was Acheron because I got her at E2 as well. And the reason this was like the only one and only time I think I've ever gone this heavy into two characters ever. Um, but I will just say E2 Acheron makes it so that I to this day I still think she's phenomenal. Actually, I just think she just competes just as well. I think Pride went it lowered her down a little bit. At E2 I don't think that applies. We'll just talk about that later. But my point is come back to Adventuring. I have him running on the Broken Keel and Knight of Purity. He's just given just a boatload of shielding all the time. He's good everywhere. His shields are almost the only thing is if it's this trace I wanted to go over. Where is it? It's that he gives effect res. I think it is. Where is it? Yeah, for effect res increases. If they bypass, he has no way to remove status debuffs on allies, which can be very problematic if someone gets stunned. That's the only time I've ever really run into an issue. I do have his light cone because it's more defense and more crit damage. It just makes it do what he does a little bit better, which is a little bit more damage. I did not mean to exit out of that. So yeah, he is without a doubt my favorite character. I think I've gotten, and I easily one of my favorite characters ever on my account. He's the most used character I have across my entire account. And that's yeah, he's just my go-to. And that leads me to this next character, and this one's kind of a tricky one. Because well, not tricky. I mean, actually a toss up between Tribby and Robin. Now the thing with Tribby is she's relatively new. So like Adventurine, I've had him for a year now, and he is just very. I know how he operates. It's very easy to kind of run him. I put him if a team has some follow up attacks or needs debuffs, I'm throwing him on there. So that's why I'm just kind of like he's great. I like him a lot. I like him a lot. He is legitimately broken. Makes your account stupidly tanky. The reason I struggle between these two is because they kind of fulfill the same purpose to different degrees. Robin is an like she's meant to be multiple support, and Tribby does the exact same thing. They just do it slightly differently. Tribby does follow up attacks. Robin just pushes your whole team forward and adds damage when she ults. Both are phenomenal in their own right. They serve their own means. I like both characters. If I'm not using Tribby, then I'm going to probably be using Robin on one side or the other of MOC or whatever it is. They're usually my go-to supports. Now, this is a hot take in the sense that I've always liked Rune Mei. Ruanmei, but I haven't felt she's very good. I actually think she's phenomenal. But I just, in my time of using her, these two, I found that they are just, her buffs are not as visible as these two buffs, to me at least. Like when Robin ults, you feel it. Like you know it is happening. Trivia ults just all the time. She's always following up down. It's just so much going on with her. Ron May is more like behind the scenes, and it's if she wasn't there, you would feel a difference. In break teams, she's necessary, but she doesn't give that same like oomph that I felt with other characters. It's just more subtle. It's not to say she's bad. I think she's phenomenal. She's a great character. She a little power creep now, of course, but she's older. She's like very, very early character. When she came out, was she stupid busted? Yeah, she was stupid busted. Um, the next character that I really want to talk through, because she was a staple for the longest time, and it's just kind of like a no duh, is Bronya. She was only power crept recently. Right now, she's not. I don't have that much stuff on her. But she is the advanced. Like you're noticing a theme here. Action advanced supports. Supports are DPS come and go. That's why I'm always kind of like, yeah. I mean, it's just more damage. It's just the number gets bigger. But these characters are like they stay on these teams forever, right? Like Adventurine's a really good example. He's still my go-to sustain now, right? Bronya was my go-to single target support for the longest time until we got um what's her name? Sparkle. But Sparkle is like okay, she's just not. I mean, I feel like she was like a marginal increase. I didn't feel like she was like, oh my god, increase. Like there is a clear difference between her and Robin. Robin. Sunday. Sunday is a massive increase to both of them because of the energy and everything. Right? He is absolutely phenomenal. Um, and so that's been kind of the a big purpose. Like I haven't used him that much, unfortunately, because my two main supports right now are Tribby and Robin, right? So I haven't really seen a need to use him unless I'm playing Akron. The only problem with Akron is that he does not really synergize well with Akron because it's in a he's given energy. Akron doesn't need energy. She wants more people that are like debuffing, debuffing, debuffing. Actually, when I'm playing Akron though, because I run Akron very slow, um, I actually still use Sparkle. My Sparkle is designed for Akron. That's why her speed's at 150. She's meant to bring her forward. But this brings me to another character that I felt was kind of an interesting one, and I'm actually going to compare these two, Huahua and Fushuan. I originally thought Fushuan was going to take forever to power creep. I just thought she was going to be like this indomitable tank and impenetrable tank, can't do anything against her, yada yada yada. And then I started taking her into higher difficulty game modes, and she was just getting one shot. And I was like, ooh, ooh, no, this is bad, right? Like I'm like, I need a shield because she's just getting like there were a lot of points when I was doing not MLC because MLC was never really able to out damage her, but it was Divergent Universe when you start getting those very, 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 very high levels. She was just getting mollywopped, like destroyed. Um, because it was just she'd go down to like 25% health, heal back up, and then you start running out of her charges. So her defenses were starting to become a really problem. To this day, I still think she's phenomenal, and any like MOC stuff, I still think she's fine. I don't think that there's a lot of content that can out damage her. The problem is they're just people that do her job way better. And I remember when Huahua came out and people were just like, oh, she's gonna suck, yada yada yada. She's been one of my most staple abundance characters. Like I have felt like I don't really need a summon for abundance characters because of her. I feel like she heals a ton. The only thing that is a little wonky with her is that she gives energy, which is great, right? I actually love that. The problem though is that so for instance, the one character I've always really wanted to run her with is Castries, but Boa heals, but it's not as much as, for instance, like let's see, Loacha. Loacha heals a ton, but not as much. Um, as other, like Gallagher heals a ton, but I actually like Loacha just a wee bit more. It's a little more single target, but I do like Loacha. I think it's a little bit more consistent. Um, I've been contemplating working out with Bailu again. But the problem with Bailu, she just does not have any cleanse and can't be in abundance without cleanse. So if they buff her, if they could just give her a cleanse, I actually would probably use Bailu a ton with Castorise. And I just make my Bailu very, very fast because Castorise team runs on so many skill points, and that makes Bailu just an absolute monster if has able to just constantly keep skilling. Okay, sorry, I'm digressing. But again, Huahua is cool, except there's one drawback with her. If your main deeps doesn't use energy, then she gets a little wonky. And that's where I've always found kind of this interesting like thing with her. And actually, it's her light cone that I feel is more important than almost her sometimes because she's giving you a ton of healing via ulting. So her light cone for me is actually more important than um her herself. I think Waha is great. Really? But I think her light cone is actually better than her, which is kind of funny. Like again, I will reiterate this. If they ever buff Bailu to give her on her trace here, and this not just heals, but it actually cleanses, I would think Bailu is actually better than a lot of characters. Which is actually, I hope they have said they're going to buff characters. I actually really hope they buff Bailu at some point because I would love for her to get a whatchamacallit, a cleanse. If she had a cleanse, I think she'd be probably one of the best healers for caster rates. But that's just me. The other character that I think, so I'm trying to think about what characters I used a ton, what characters have like I found the most beneficial. Um, oh, excuse me. But when I look at the 4 stars, Gallagher is, oh, I mean, this is kind of a no duh because he's a healer, he's phenomenal. Um, but one character that I think has always just been something like looking through the list, that has always been phenomenal and only got I mean, she was good for the first year. Was Pella? Pella's phenomenal in the sense that she's debuffing like crazy. And that defense down is absolutely monstrous. But the character that I think doesn't get talked about a lot, and I think it's just he's new. Oh my god. But he's so I feel his impact is actually Anaxa. I actually think this character will age brilliantly as the game goes on because, very simply put, he is implanting so much weakness types that if Herta, falls out of flavor and she's not as good anymore, as long as the next character's erudition, then Anaxa is good again. And the thing that I love about Anaxa is he can run this set. So, like if I run him as like a sub deep set DPS. It's also very fast. Oh man. He's at 136 speed, but he is just like, ults, gets that ults up again, ults again. He's just constantly ulting. I love the fact that this light cone is perfect for him. The free to play. He is so free to play friendly. I recommend everyone pick him up. He is giving the team damage with his traces. Let me see right here. So at least 2 character increases. So if you're working with other erudition, at least 2 character erudition, all has to do 50% more damage. Like that means a Herta is doing 50% more damage. That means if I have him in a team with Triby and Venturine, they're all doing 50% more damage. But why I love actually this combo 1, 2, 3 is that Herta, like they're actually more like supports in this team, which is kind of funny in that sense. But I think this team, I like really coherent teams. Where is it? She is giving. Um, Moral of the story is she's giving 80% crit. There it is. So when enemy the team has 2 more, increase all allies crit damage. So not only are you getting 50% damage from him, you're getting 80% crit from her. You put those 2 things together, and they are just absolutely like, so increases in Nox's crit. So Nox is literally 140 plus 80, he is getting 220% crit damage from just existing with. So right now, my Nox crit damage, not two, it's not 220 even, it's 220 plus 90. So he has 310 crit damage. That is monstrous. On top of already hers, she has like 200. They're doing so much together that this team is. Look, I will say, I think this team, the only thing is single target can become kind of a problem. However, this is why I think Anoxa will age very gracefully. I need to still raise up these skills, but this, it just a bounce. So if there's a single target, he's still doing crazy damage. Actually, sometimes I actually prefer to use Anoxa's skill if I'm ever running low on skill points over the Herdas. Because, well, I need the Herdas because it's like gives you, oh, whatchamacallit, more energy. His skill is way more impactful because guess what? He's not only implanting more weak point weakness, but if he's doing it on a single target, he's getting a ton back. This is actually quite possibly right now, I will say right now, one of I think the best investments that you can have for a character, especially if you have another, like you don't need the Herda. You could have, excuse me. All right. So, like for instance, you could be running him with just singular Herda, right? You can run him with you know, our gambling girl here. You can run him with I'm trying to think what else there is. I haven't built some of these characters. Um I'm looking for Serval, because again that you implant that lightning weakness, it doesn't really matter. He's like an AoE version of Silverwolf. He's just essentially an AoE version of Silverwolf. And that is just, he is probably one of my favorite characters that I've gotten on this account, and I see him using him for a very, very, very long time. Notice how I didn't acknowledge like Deep's characters. I used to think that I need it heavily invests in DPS characters, and that's the truth is no, you don't. I would go E0 on all DPS characters and call it a day because they're gonna get power crept. Like I'll go through an episode, the episode following. This is my biggest regrets of which characters that I went for. Um, and I'm going to talk through some of the characters that I really wish I just did not ever pick up and waste summons on. But that's it for this episode. I just really wanted to highlight what are some of my favorite characters that I've invested in, and that's it for today's video, folks. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, failing is just your first attempt to learn.